inside of the ordinance, as well as the processing of those complaints inside the city.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lukeman. Any other questions or discussions?
I just would like to lift up that the original ordinance that was passed unanimously, I really feel like Kalamazoo, the city of Kalamazoo, had a lot of influence at the state level, which is a good thing. So I want us to really be able to rejoice and celebrate the wins, because I think that is a win. Kalamazoo has always been one of those communities that were the first to do something great, and so that happening at the state level is very important, and due to the work we did locally. We should take some of that credit.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. And I definitely do agree. I just want to make sure that it is enforceable at the city level, because it's been since 2020, and we still I'm feeling like we're running in circles. Go ahead, Director Calderon.
Sorry, it's so obvious when I have questions. So I guess I'm looking for a little bit of clarification. We are looking to make it enforceable at the city level. Yes. And the city commission is saying that they cannot do that, or that we cannot do that.
So they're not saying that it's not enforceable at the city level. That's what they're saying now, that it's state level, or it's a state law, so that it falls back down. What we're saying is, what we were trying to do was make it enforceable by the Civil Rights Board. So one of the things that we've also suggested is just copying language straight from state into city, because they've done that with different ordinances as well. But copying it just so there is a first step for a community to put in complaints through the Civil Rights Board, whether or not they're forwarded to the respective agencies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that was important to clarify for people to understand where that barrier was coming in.
Yes, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, we will be moving on to the next order of business. And we will talk about the Education Subcommittee next steps. I will pass this on to you, Vice Chair Lukeman.
This action item or discussion item on this agenda primarily arose from the discussions out of the rewrite of the ordinance subcommittee meetings, and really the imperativeness of taking action towards an education subcommittee. I do believe we have an existing educational subcommittee. I need clarity from maybe Lal on who's actually on it. I know I am on it, but it would be important to me to continue to be on that education subcommittee. I will caveat that with, I'd like to maybe exit off of a couple other subcommittees as well. So if I could pose that out to the board, I'd like to head up the education if I could versus the other two. What that means is ultimately I would like to see who would like to volunteer and spend time educating our community on the existing ordinance as it is. We do have this ordinance available to us to educate the community on. And I do think, as Commissioner Hoffman has stated, that what we have is still strong and impactful. And I think we should at least try to make some headway with educating community on it. I don't necessarily know the process on how can we establish the subcommittee, if I could get some advisement on that.
This is Attorney Jones. I believe the appointments are made by the chair to that committee.
Wonderful.
And if I'm not mistaken, were those appointments previously made? Yes, they were. So my question is, I do know Director Burpee also wanted to be part of it, and if we have a full board, she would also be able to, because we wouldn't be in quorum then. It would only be 3 directors on there.
Would that be including me?
Yes.
Okay, I think so.
So my question was that if it was a matter of adding another director, because she wanted to be involved. These appointees also were made prior to Director Burpee being on the board. And so now she's looking for somewhere to have engagement.
Yes, you cannot have a quorum or on your subcommittee.
So, but if we get a full board, that would give her room to be part of this education subcommittee.
Excuse me, how many members are you?
We
Imagine.
currently have only 2, Vice Chair and Director Calderon. Okay,
I was counting Director Burpee on the 3.
okay. So previously, I think when appointment was done was before you were part of the board, and that's when it was a matter of Vice Chair Lukeman and Director Calderon. So that was my question, to say if we did get a full board, just being able to add you to it versus, because the other thing I had asked and we had spoke about was Vice Chair Lukeman dropping from the board and kind of just working from a distance. But she's saying she still wants to be fully engaged, so if we can get this full board, then we can put you on there as well.
Put me where you need me.
Thank you.
Just for clarity on Chair's comment, it's not dropping me from the board, it's
Well,
from subcommittee.
Or, yes, I'm sorry, subcommittee. And it's not even so much as dropping, it was just saying, taking a step back.
Yes, please, yeah.
And for me, what I would say when it comes to education, we definitely need to really get started on this, because the community needs to be engaged. They need to understand we're not getting complaints in the way that we want to get them in. We hear the complaints. I know I hear the complaints being out there, boots on the ground, doing this work. And I constantly encourage people, because it's a matter of feeling like what individuals are getting away with and what people believe is not happening and what's not fair. But if we are not putting in complaints, they will never be addressed. So I think that is the important part of the education, so that the community understands how the ordinance is working for them.
I think at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, that it is, we can start establishing at least the small subcommittee that we have, so we can start executing a plan, at least with, I recognize we don't have a full CRB board, but we could at the very least start meeting, is my understanding.
Correct. I don't believe there was anyone that was appointed to the education piece from community, was there? It was just, so that is the other side. We definitely do have community engagement, and we do want community engaged in subcommittees for input as well. So if anyone is interested, you can provide information. Afterwards, you can provide information when you're giving a public statement, just to be part of this education piece, to make sure that we are engaging the community and educating. Any further discussion? Okay, we will move on to the next action, which is the board application update.
We currently have 3 applicants that have applied for the CRB board. I do believe that we intend to interview these applicants within the next 2 weeks. So that is the current applicant update.
Okay, thank you. Also, continue to encourage community. If you live within the city, please put in the application. We are reviewing everybody's application, trying to get those that the nomination committee believes to move forward to interviews, but we need to get these seats filled. It's been over a year that we've been sitting with vacant seats. Our next order of business is the nomination of Ursula Moore Doyle. I'll open that up for discussion.
Ms. Moore Doyle was interviewed by two of our subcommittee members, and we found the interview to be very productive, and I think that the resume or application that you see in front of you is very reflective of what Ms. Moore Doyle portrayed in her interview with us. My recommendation is to send her to the City Commission for nomination on the CRB board.
Thank you. So I know we have here an application, and it's not as informative as you guys personally meeting with her. So can we get a little bit more regarding the application or the interview? Just to kind of give a little more personalization to it, please.
Sure. Speaking directly to the interview process, the process itself has a set of, I believe it's 8 questions, and so we go through each of the 8 questions on the interview for each applicant that sits for an interview. In those questions, we don't spend a whole lot of time getting to ask additional questions, but what's wonderful is that the folks that we have interviewed also take it upon themselves to describe themselves in a more full manner than what we're seeing here. I will probably defer over to Commissioner Hoffman to speak.
Yes, Ms. Doyle was very clear. She has roots in Kalamazoo. She served as a steward to the unions for the school system for many years. She understands that there will sometimes be tension, but out of tension, powerful things happen. She is not afraid of that, to stand in those uncomfortable but necessary conversations in instances where we're really trying to fight to push something forward. She would definitely be an asset. Loves this community, is tied to the community, and is ready to serve, is what she said. She was ready to serve Kalamazoo.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Next, we'll take a vote to see if we would like to move her forward in the process of going onto the agenda with the mayor's approval.
I motion to nominate Ursula Moore Doyle to the Civil Rights Board.
Is there a second?
This is Director Calderon Way, so I'll second that.
It was moved by Vice Chair Lukeman and second by Director Calderon. We will take a vote. All in favor of her moving forward? No?
No, that's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor of her moving forward to the City Commission's agenda with the approval of the mayor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? It It is so that Ms. Ursula Moore Doyle will move forward to the City Commission's agenda for the mayor's approval, with the mayor's approval. Our next order of business is the meeting schedule discussion. I'm sorry. We will go as far as the meeting schedule discussion. We have been having meetings every other month. We actually did go to every month. With there being a delay in the time we were waiting for feedback for our rewrites, we ended up going back to every other month. So our discussion is coming back up to whether or not we want to go back to every month. And I will open it for discussion.
I think, personally, I think at this time, every other month is still sufficient until this ordinance and things like that come into, a little bit more closer to fruition. I just don't see the need for every month right now. So that's where I'm at.
This is Director Lukeman. Was there a particular item that you think is going to ramp up that would be sufficient for us to meet monthly?
So I think it was just more along the educational piece, just trying to make sure, start truly working on the education. I think that should be a matter of deciding when that first meeting will be and how everything is moving in regards to that, to say how soon or how often there will be meetings. But I think the only reason I would want to go to monthly, once that is really vamped up, is to make sure that we do have the community engagement and just trying to figure out a way. I don't know, and maybe I will be putting Isaac on the spot. I work with Isaac. I know there will be some education from that side. Maybe there can be some type of collaboration to even have education on a bigger scale. And the executive director is here. Maybe that is something that can also be said, something can be said to that during public comment. And so I just said that to say whether or not people are involved, people want to get involved, we need to try to make some type of connections, because even with us meeting every other month, it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of come in here and do things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to meet every month as of now, but we need to start making sure that we can make those connections when we are not in here in chambers as well.
Thinking about the upcoming interviews for applicants, so if we're interviewing in the next 2 weeks, 3 additional applicants for the board, that subcommittee assumably would be bringing additional nominations to what would be our June 2nd. So our next meeting right now is scheduled for, it's June 4th is our next scheduled meeting. To me, that time is ultimately sufficient right now. But I would be open to going back to monthly meetings. I'm not opposed to that. I just think we should get to the June 4th meeting and then maybe consider it at another time.
This is Director Calderon, so I'm inclined to agree with that, and keep in consideration our new members, that they may also want to have a say in our upcoming schedule.
Okay. And considering we only have a month out, I think it would be good if we just leave it a month out to our next meeting. And then hopefully by that time we've had the interviews take place, we've had people names added, to the City Commission's agenda for appointment, and we can make a decision at that time. I'm personally, and I'm not sure how often this is done, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, only because when it comes back to the appointments in our discussion, and the only reason I want to bring this up, because there has been a lot of conversation, a lot of public comments that we've had in regards to with City Commission, and that was in regards to the appointment of Lewis Smith and his application. At the time public comments had started being made to City Commission, it was actually 58 days. Usually it takes 12 to 20 days. Our media person for Isaac went back and put a timeline together. And so that's not the usual time that it would take for someone to be added to an agenda for appointment. We probably wouldn't have heard anything had it not been a matter of actually pressing, because there still has not been any formal email, formal letter of denial. For me, I appreciate you, Attorney Lewis Smith, all the work that you've done, participating with the subcommittee. You were definitely overqualified to be a part of our board, and I appreciate everything. It's very disheartening that you were not appointed to be a part, because I think that you would be a positive impact on this City Commission. Civil Rights Board moving forward. The only thing is with us and the discussions that we also had as well was the fact that that decision was solely up to the mayor. That is the issue that we have with the Civil Rights Board, or I will say personally, I don't want to speak for anyone else. That was the issue that I have, because most of the board appointees do go through the mayor and the City Commission. And so just feeling like though maybe that is something that we need to look at as well and change to where it's not one person who has sole decision. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because this is bigger than Attorney Smith. This is about making sure that our board is fully equipped. Like I said, we've been sitting with vacant seats for over a year. And if we have people applying, and for some reason, like lately, and maybe it's just because community has been stepping up, community has been going to City Commission meetings, speaking, we've had the applications coming in, and that is positive. So hopefully we will be able to get the seats filled. But I just wanted to see if there's any discussion that you would want any of the board members to have around what has been taking place in regards to Attorney Lewis Smith's application.
I think it might be important to make sure the board is caught up in total on what happened.
Yeah, yes, please.
I do apologize. So, Attorney Lewis Smith put the application in. As a board on February 5th, we all,
It was pretty unanimous
it was unanimous.
forward.
Yes. And going in, as I said, 58 days, when we went to the mic, we had heard nothing. And at that time, there was actually 2 pages of individuals that was being appointed to different boards, but his name was not on the list. And so we questioned at that time what was going on, why hadn't he been appointed, because the time span has never been that long. We ended up going back to city comments 2 weeks later, and this is why we have a bigger crowd here today, just the engagement of community, going up speaking on behalf of Attorney Lewis's application. And what am I missing? Oh, I will say, and maybe I should have got the dates correct, but a Friday prior to City Commission where we did go, Mayor Anderson did end up meeting with Attorney Lewis Smith and then informed him that he would be denying his application. And it boiled down to conflict of interest, city attorney, or county attorney being on a city civil rights board. So that was one of the things where city spoke up, like the difference between, what was the difference of being city and county boards, because the mayor has also been on, or is on city county boards. So we were trying to decide the conflict of interest. As I said, I've worked closely with Attorney Lewis Smith, so in regards to that part, when he came to me about finally moving into the city, he made sure and checked with the county before putting in the application, because he said he wanted to make sure there was no conflict of interest. Once he got the go and the okay from the county, that's when he submitted his application. So that was where we didn't understand. Mayor Anderson's reasoning to me was that the county attorney would be making recommendations to the city manager, and it's almost like an authority. On the other side, we did express we are an advisory board. And there hasn't really been a whole lot that the Civil Rights Board has been able to do or enforce within the community to say, telling the city commission what to do. What we've been working on is really truly just trying to fill these vacant seats, have people with passion that want to see the ordinance enforced, that want to see just everything that's in the realm of what the Civil Rights Board is capable of, to making sure that we are actually working to full capacity. And that's pretty much the update. Community has been going in, stepping up, voicing their opinions in regards to the Civil Rights Board and how things are done. That has given us the conversation around how it's only the mayor that makes the decision for appointees for the Civil Rights Board.
If I could ask a question to the city attorney's office. If an applicant for a board is nominated and then taken to city commission, and city commission does not appoint the member, is there communication to that nominee directly? Like, what is the typical process of a nominated member or a denied member?
I'm sorry, would be through the city manager's office and not my office, so I don't want to give you incorrect information. I don't know what the standard procedure is in terms of, I know that they inform the person, but how that gets back to individual boards, I am not sure.
Well, I will say I don't believe that Attorney Smith received like a formal denial from the city or from the mayor. And maybe that's something he can speak on himself during personal comment. Because those were questions that we did have during that time, as well as asking, is there an appeal process? And I will say Attorney Lewis Smith did rescind his application because he did say being on wanted to be on a professional level. So that's why I said this conversation isn't about necessarily having him on the board. It's about how do we move forward to say, is there an appeal process? If we feel as a board that we have someone that best suits our board, why can't we have them move forward? And what measures do we take to ensure that if we nominate someone, because if I'm not mistaken, not only after they go through our board, don't they go through the city's nomination committee as well? Or they just automatically?
Once a board makes a nomination, it's then presented to either the mayor and in some instance, the commission as a whole for approval. There's no other vetting that occurs.
Okay. Thank you.
I would also like to say, this is, you stated that Lewis put in he rescinded his nomination.
Yes.
You received that? Our office haven't received that.
Yes, I did receive it.
Okay.
It sounds like we need clarity from the city manager's office on where we go forward. To hop on your question, is we just need clarity on if this person is still in limbo for the board or if they are denied from the board. So I think that's what we should be seeking, is clarity on the status.
Yes, and I think that would be the other question. Would we have to make sure that it's something in writing within our ordinance or our bylaws that would say how things are presented? If a person is denied, how are they informed? Whether or not the board is also informed of that denial. If there's an appeal process, how can they appeal that process? As well as, like I said, just taking the sole authority out of the mayor's hand. I think that it should also be the city commission, because most of the boards, when you look in there, it says the mayor and city commission. It's in our ordinance that it's only the mayor.
It seems very pick and choose, very, it's not streamlined. Something is amiss here, and it's a little frustrating for all of us, I think, and yeah, I will leave it at that.
Well, I will say I thank you for that, and I appreciate it, because I've definitely said it's been frustrating over this time, just trying to communicate, trying to deal with it. And like I said, and I will say that Mayor Anderson did take the time to meet with me personally as well. So that is how I was able to get the decision that he had. The last I heard from him was that he would take everything into consideration. There was no final decision to say yay or nay, whether I'm sticking by what I decided. I'm taking it into consideration. So I'm still not sure what that means, but on the other side, it is frustrating, because we definitely put in a lot of work, even like with the rewrite. All that time as well was volunteer, but putting in that extra time and putting in everything, we wanted to, everybody that I've seen here and the way we've been working has been passionate about change, passionate about making a difference. As I continue to say, being a part of this board has been for me to come in and try to change the narrative of what I hear from city. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to fight and do that, as well as I know those that are here with me. And I just want to make sure that I will continue to stand up for community, and that we are one voice and not just my voice. And that's all of us standing with community. Was it something you were going to say, Director Calderon? Okay.
Well, you pretty much answered what I was about to say, but I do want to go on record that City Attorney Jones does have a prior engagement that she does have to leave, so I don't want the community to think that this conversation has shifted and she needs to run out. She let us know prior to the meeting, so I just want to let you all know.
Yes, she definitely did inform me of that prior to, because, as she said, this wasn't our scheduled time.
May I ask, how long has it been since we were made aware that he was not going to be able to move forward?
I'm just trying to think in regards to So I will say personally, the city did not inform me that Attorney Smith wouldn't be moving forward. It was Attorney Smith that informed me that he
Right.
wouldn't be moving. And since then, there has been 2 city commission meetings. So that's giving you a timeline without dates.
Right.
And we ended up going in. First, we went in and we were asking why he hadn't been added. Then we went in and we were asking why he was being denied. And then we actually ended up going back in at public comment after my meeting with Mayor Anderson.
Okay.
So the ordinance states that board members shall be appointed by the mayor and approved by the city commission. So I think we're in this stage of appointed. So Mr. Smith has not been appointed, is the actual stage that we are experiencing, or like stuck in, if you will.
Yes.
Okay.
After discussion, he's reconsidering that, potentially. Because how it was presented just now was that he has been denied by the mayor, so.
So he was denied. That was what he was told by the mayor.
Okay.
So the appointment part of it is where the mayor appoints him by putting him on the agenda for appointment. He's added to the agenda, and then the city commission passes the agenda, and that's how his appointment occurs. So he was never appointed on the agenda, which brought up the discussion on why not, and he met with him and denied him.
So then technically, by the ordinance, if he has been denied, he won't be placed on the agenda.
Correct.
But after your meeting with the mayor, he said he would take in your concerns into consideration.
Correct.
So now we're back in limbo, correct? Where
No,
may or may not? or-
I don't believe we're in limbo because
No.
Attorney Smith is not going to be
I
part of the
realize-
board.
Yeah, I
Yes.
realized that he rescinded it, but,
He's
Okay.
adamant too. As of now, he's adamant as far as no,
Okay.
that he doesn't want to be on the board. So, and that's the thing to where, even with all the questions that you ask, how do we keep this from happening in the future?
exactly. That's, we want so much to have a full board,
Yes.
but if we're going to present people with this potential problem continuous to occur, it's going to continue to be a vicious cycle where we're never going to have a full board.
And that's correct. And I think the other side of that is also the same way we've been going and doing public comment, then go and doing public comment. If we have someone that we've appointed or voted on to move forward, and if it's not happening, then we go to city commission and we question. And we ask why, as well as having conversations like we're having today. Because this is, for me, is very intentional, to make sure that what is going on is on record. This is part of our process, and what can we do? Everything we need to try to do is to make sure this board is enforceable. And I just want to make sure that we're doing that as a board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you. I think this is one of the glitches here is that the communication. It was not communicated to this board that the denial happened. So maybe that is something that the CMO's office can put into practice and keep that communication transparent and really give rationale as to why. Because if you were to do a rubric with this individual, and I don't want to make it about one person, but this applicant in particular met all of the expectations of the role. So this board deserves to hear in writing from the CMO's office why decisions are being made.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman.
No, I mean, I really feel like you read my mind. What I had written down here is I'd just really like to know what we can expect on future nominations and around communication, who is that the responsibility of? So I was going to follow up, but thank you so much for your comment.
Okay, yes, that was also one of my questions as well, how the board would be informed and why the board wasn't informed. No further discussion? Go ahead.
This applicant in particular, in my opinion and perspective, because Mr. Lewis had, Mr. Smith had applied for the city attorney's role, I think that is where some of this tension is coming from, and the fact that there was another educated, intellectual, strong person on the Civil Rights Subcommittee that could challenge some of the language that was getting pushed back. Individuals became kind of insecure, and the tension was palpable. And so I think that there were personal feelings, and I said this before, that got involved, and people were trying to really just kind of not work through the tension and continue doing things in the way that they feel is normal. Well, we living in a different time right now. Normal is out the window. Everybody can feel that. So I just needed to say that, Pam, because it's not just because of his position at the county. And again, I don't want to make this about one individual. There are some glitches in the system, and we need to ensure that we address those things, and we should always do that publicly. And then ask for follow-up within a certain amount of time.
Thank you. I definitely agree.
It's just good business.
Yes, it is.
Communication is good business, plain and simple. So,
Yes. And I will add to that, although there was pushback, I will say that it was always professional. And when you come to the legalities, if you have one attorney, and you can't put two attorneys in a room and don't think that there's going to be some tension. I always say all tension is not bad tension. It can be good tension. And the thing about it is that everybody has different views. And at times it's about even saying, how can we sit down? Where can we meet in the middle? Because that is also one of the things that I even offered up to Mayor Anderson. You know, maybe we can sit down and have different sides and different parts to have an understanding of the way the city is approaching, understanding the way the Civil Rights Board is coming, because we also need the collaboration from the city commission as well to make sure that things are moving forward, because like you said, there may be recommendations that are coming and not wanting attention to where it's holding anything back. But I definitely agree. I definitely do believe it was personal feelings that kept him off of the board. And moving forward, I just want to make sure that personal feelings are not engaged, and people are doing and making the best decisions for what is right in the city of Kalamazoo. I don't want us to just be put on the map because of starting something. When it comes down to even like the fair housing ordinance. That was in 2020. We still discussing the enforcement 5 years later. It doesn't make sense. We have to be intentional about the work that we're doing and the commitment to make change. I think we're done discussing. And at this time, I'm going to open it up for public comments. Please sign in And you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioner, and the board members. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First, I'd just like to say thank you to the community and for your support of me. It is very much appreciated and it is very humbling. So thank you very much. And I'd just like to say that when you asked me to consider to join the board, not just the task force, I did say I needed to do my research to make sure that there wasn't a conflict. And I did that research. And so when you say the county said it was okay, it's me. I'm the county who said it was okay. I would just like that to be clear. But one of the strongest things that did make me go forward with my application is knowing that this was an advisory body, that you had no power to put anybody in jail, to fine, or to make laws. So I did carefully consider what it was that the board was trying to do and what I could do in my position as Corporation Counsel. As you know, housing is very, very important and intimate to me, as that I've been homeless 3 times. So I know what that struggle is like from the other side. I'd also like to say that it was on April 4th that the mayor met with me. He requested a meeting, and he indicated that he would not be moving my application forward, as that he believed that there was a conflict of interest. And then on April 7th, I did provide Madam Chair with a letter withdrawing my name for consideration. I did not want to be a distraction to the work that this body is doing. And and knowing, as you mentioned, Commissioner Hoffman, that there were some other things which should not be relevant, but were being made relevant, that would create more distraction. So that's why I had withdrawn. And leading to that, I just want to say that it was a pleasure, and it is a pleasure working with the Housing Task Force. What you should know is that there was real dialogue. There was objectivity in the process. There was, well, what about this? No, what about that? What about this? So it was that real give and take, which always results, because I've been doing this for 40 years in politics, law, and government, and that always results in a better product for everybody. And just in closing, I'd just like to say I'm still available to assist the board with what I can and still be ethical, because I'm too good looking not to look at myself every day. So I always stay in integrity. So I am available in that regard. And again, thank you so much for all your support. And I look forward to what this board is going to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Drew Duncan, Kalamazoo. Man, 3 minutes won't be long enough. One, I want to thank everybody sitting on this commission. The work that you do is so incredibly important to the people of Kalamazoo. And a huge shout out to the community for showing up and showing out. I love the city, I love its people, and I love our passion around our issues when it comes to our neighbors. But I do have some questions. Ms. Lukeman, you read some language in the ordinance that pertained to the mayor appointing and the commission. I'm sorry, if I could get a hold of that language, I would love to see that language, because as it sounds, it does sound as if the commission can override that non-appointment by the mayor. And if that's true, again, I'm not an attorney, but that language is vague enough that I'd ask about it. Two, I hate doing this, but echo the sentiments of some of the people who have spoken about the official communication. I feel as a community member problematic. Last night I attended the Reimagine 2035, and in the city's master plan, communication, open and rapid and thorough communication is like in that plan. And this is the perfect opportunity for the city to display that it's serious about its values that it's putting in its master plan, and we have failed. masterfully in that regard. Second, I heard a lot of communication about like how there's contention in this work. This is civil rights. And blood, sweat, and marching gave us these rights. And if we think that we're going to be in any room where we don't have to swing and go down swinging for them, I think you might need to reconsider where you are. And then also, I wanted to talk about the monthly meetings. I know that you plan to meet again in June, but you already have a positive recommendation of one person going with 3 in the pipeline. So why not after June? I was a little confused why this body didn't agree to start at least after June going to monthly meetings, because I'm assuming that these people will meet the criteria. But that gives me my last 20 seconds. Releasing a clear criteria to the public before they apply to this so that they can avoid conflicts of interest. A clear rubric, so if I'm a person that seeks to serve in this position, I can look and say, what are the guidelines? How do we as a city avoid this type of embarrassment? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Adams, and I do reside in the city. I've spoken a lot about this already at the city commission meetings, so I'm standing here today to hopefully continue to encourage all of you to stay with it. I know it's not easy, but we need you. The city needs you. And I would like to also offer this. There's still some confusion to me about charter. I know the charter governs the city and the bylaws to the specific advisory board. Did you create the bylaws, or were they created for you? And in my past experience, you can amend your own bylaws. And I would really encourage you to do that ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it? Okay, now it is. Okay. Good evening to our chair, our vice chair, board members, directors, staff, and also our commissioner liaison. My name is Charlotte Davis, and I work with Isaac. I want to first say again, echo what everyone's saying. Thank you all so much as directors and also those who are on the subcommittee. Thank you for this awesome ongoing work, for your transparency, for asking questions, for challenging the system. That's why we need you all, and I wanted to say thank you. You all continue to be dedicated, committed, and please know that all of us here appreciate you all, and there's some that are watching as well who really appreciate you all. We are here in support of your work. I want to say that your work is not in vain, so please stay encouraged, knowing that you are valued and appreciated, and thank you. I do have to say that I was extremely disheartened to hear that you all's unanimous decision and recommendation of Attorney Liu was not honored after being sent to the City Commission and denied by Mayor Anderson. And I can only imagine how that has made you feel. You have worked tirelessly and met in chambers, in subcommittees, and we still don't have a full board. I also want to say thank you to Attorney Liu for all his selfless work in our community. And I'm saying it again, I'm preaching to the choir, I know, but that's a huge loss when we're talking about changing systems and making sure that everyone has equity in their life and their life chances. Each time I always have to lift and honor Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin. This all started with her as she wrote her housing brief and shared that years ago. She was a catalyst for this ordinance. And as we lift history, I also have to lift Sister Lana Lewis, then at TRHT, who had the surveys going, and then Isaac was able to help with the listening sessions. You all, my heart is always full when I talk about this, and my frustration lies with you as well, because this work has been going on for a long time. And I remember almost each and every individual, the children, the adults, the tears, the anger, the rightful anger in those listening sessions, those who were pleading to get in, to have their voices heard, and we're gonna make sure that their voices are always lifted. I want to honor it's not just about housing. We know this. This is about discrimination across the board, and it's been lifted before. This is a troubling time, not only nationwide, but locally as well. So you all are sitting in, I want to say, a historic position. I thank you so much for being strong, staying committed, having that courage, and just know that you all are not in this alone. And for the education piece, Chair Faison, yes, collaboration, education, we want to do this with you all.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Chairperson, board members, and community. My name is Ashante Collins. I'm the ED for the Campaign for Criminal Justice Transparency and also the Anti-Racism Task Force lead for Isaac. I come before you tonight not only as a citizen of Kalamazoo County, but as someone who deeply believes in the purpose of the Civil Rights Board and the courageous people who serve on it. Let me say clearly and without hesitation, we support you and we are standing with you as you continue to do the work of justice, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is resisted. This board was not created out of convenience or political strategy. It was formed with intention to help enforce and protect a variety of civil rights, including a fair housing ordinance that challenges the systems of discrimination that have long plagued our county. This ordinance passed unanimously by the City Commission and Mayor exists to safeguard people from discrimination based on income source, past conviction history, race, gender, survivor status, and more. It was and still is a bold and necessary step forward, but we cannot allow that progress to be only symbolic. We cannot pat ourselves on the back for passing a law and then fail to empower the very body created to enforce it, because a law without teeth, without enforcement, without support is not justice, it's a performance. And what we are seeing now is the performance beginning to break down. For over a year, this board has had empty seats meant to be filled by passionate, qualified, justice-oriented individuals ready to serve their community. And yet, when an overly qualified, experienced, and deeply committed individual stepped forward to fill those seats, they were not appointed by the mayor. Their appointment was never brought before the entire city commission for approval. This decision falls squarely on the mayor's shoulders. This candidate, who has lived experience as an unhoused individual, could have brought invaluable insight to the table. Their experience is not just personal, it's a profound understanding of the struggles that many in our community face on a daily basis, experiences that cannot be replicated by any textbook or policy paper. That lived experience would have enriched this board's work, giving voice to those who are most marginalized. And yet, they were denied the opportunity to serve without explanation. That in itself is an injustice. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said so powerfully, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This individual is not only more than qualified, but would have been a tremendous asset to this board and a source of support for everyone. There was no conflict of interest, no impropriety, but still somewhere a fable was created. A story was spun to block their appointment. A barrier was built, not on truth, but on fear, control, and misinformation. We must name that behavior for what it is, an obstruction of justice. It is a deliberate act of silencing and gatekeeping, and it sends a chilling message to those who dare to stand up for equity. You may be qualified, but if your voice shakes the system too much, you will be denied. We cannot allow that to stand. This board exists because injustice exists. It exists because discrimination has never gone away. It is simply adapted. And when systems and people attempt to block the progress of this board, they are not protecting the public. They are protecting power. Let me say this loud and clear, even without this mic, you were not appointed to sit quietly. You were called to this work because you are knowledgeable, you are passionate, and ready to challenge systems that have harmed our communities for generations. And we, residents, advocates, neighbors, we see you and we stand with you, and we will not be silent when others try to undermine the board's purpose. We will not be silent when those who constructed this work are pushed away without cause. We will not be silent when seats stay empty while our people stay harmed. This board matters, your work matters. You are not just helping those who file complaints or who experience discrimination firsthand, whether in housing, employment, or public accommodations. You are shaping a community that is safer, more equitable, and more just for all of us, for everyone who lives in Kalamazoo County. And to those who stand in your way, whether through silence, bureaucracy, or fear, we say enough. The mayor cannot pass an ordinance and then stand in the way of the very committee built to uphold it. He cannot champion civil rights in public and then
Thank you.
Good evening, Toby Hannah Davies from the Isaac Housing Task Force, and I do live in the city. I am so impressed with the whole discussion this evening. Thank you for being so transparent about everything and so professional in the way you discussed it. I'm especially happy about your asking Chair Kathy Faison for the education and Vice Chair Lukman. I think that education push is just right now, and I agree with the person who asked for monthly meetings after June 4, because we need the momentum of the information getting out. And you know, a lot of us here are going to be here in support, and one of the ways of doing education is getting people who are willing to tell their stories of discrimination, and having it happen right here is a really good place for it to happen, and maybe others will go to City Commission as well. Chair Faison, I also want to thank you for your words about needing to try a different direction for enforcement. I think that's really smart, given the circumstances. After you put so much work into quasi-judicial board and having that slapped down, maybe there's still some light at the end of that tunnel, but we don't know. And it would be really good to see what other cities, what other ways. All of you are serving here because you want the housing equity enforced. And that's why all of us are here too. I'm especially concerned about people who are turned away, blanket rejection, because of any kind of criminal record. That's not covered by what the Fair Housing Center does or what the state ordinance